All right, let's talk about this Australia Day controversy, and I'll do that with Menzies Research Centre's Freya Leach and Nationals MP Keith Pitt. Great to see you both. Well, as you've probably heard by now, anti-Australia Day local councils have come up with some, shall we say, creative excuses as to why they can't hold their celebrations on, or their citizenship ceremonies on Australia Day. And this includes, if you can believe it, the hot weather, which we're barely experiencing at the moment. This after Peter Dutton said he'd mandate Australia Day ceremonies. But one Lord Mayor told The Australian that her local government should be compensated for additional costs if Dutton follows through with his pledge. Keith Pitt, what do you think about this? How can heat in Australia in January be a legitimate excuse not to work, which is ultimately what they're saying?
Sharri, I'm hearing lots of excuses but no reasons. So it won't be hard for a new coalition government to put this in place to ensure that there are citizenship ceremonies on Australia Day, because we had it before. And what happened? The current Labor government cut it. They claimed it was red tape. Who in their right mind would think ensuring citizenship ceremonies available on Australia Day is red tape? It is absolute nonsense. The people of Australia, they're just over all of this. They're sick of hearing about it. They're sick of the arguments. They just want to celebrate our nation. And there is nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And a new coalition government, they'll ensure those opportunities are there for Australia Day. And keep in mind, Sharri, this is all about new citizens coming to our country.
Exactly, something that you'd think most people would want to celebrate. Here was Peter Dutton making that pledge. Have a look.
Would we reinstate a requirement for councils to hold citizenship ceremonies on Australia Day? You bet. It'll be done in the first 100 days.
Freya, what do you think of this sort of pushback against this? And even, you know, some activists that are on social media encouraging violence on Australia Day ceremonies.
It is characteristic of the destructive, evil left that has come to dominate so many ranks within the Labor Party and certainly the activist class in Australian politics. And frankly, I think Australians have had enough. We saw in the Voice to Parliament referendum, the majority of Australians said no to division, said no to dividing our country along the lines of race, said no to this narrative of pessimism and of national shame. We want to be one country under one flag, proud of who we are, because we are a remarkable nation with a great history, not perfect, but still great. And if you don't believe me, look around the world at a whole bunch of other countries. There's a reason people want to become citizens of Australia, and we should celebrate that on Australia Day.
Indeed, there is a lot to love about our country, although a bit less at the moment under the Albanese government. Now, Peter Dutton is expected to soon confirm a cabinet reshuffle. This is because Simon Birmingham is retiring. So this leaves the highly sought-after Foreign Affairs portfolio vacant. It's said to be a bit of a contest between Sussan Ley, who's the deputy, Julian, Lisa and James Paterson. Keith Pitt, who do you think would be good in that job?
Well, I'm coming to a close in terms of my career in politics, Sharri. What I know about politics is this: everyone thinks it could be them, and everyone thinks they can do a better job than whoever was there before or whoever is there currently.
Well, Keith,
but look, they're all
you're
good
leaving
options.
anyway, so it probably doesn't matter if you offend anyone. Who do you think would be best in the job?
I've had no issues offending them in the past, Sharri. No problems now either. Look, I think Dan Tehan would be a good option. He's got a lot of experience and a strong background. All of the contenders are being talked about are very good operators. But of course, Sussan Ley is the deputy. She actually has a right to select her portfolio if that's how it works out. And good luck to all of them. But regardless, unless you're at the big table and the coalition is in government, it is still just a shadow role. It's important, but we need to be back in government as members of the coalition, because right now the Albanese government is absolutely killing the everyday Australian on cost of living. They just can't afford to live.
Yeah, well, whoever's in that role does hold Penny Wong to account, so it is a critical portfolio. And, you know, sometimes the portfolios end up staying the same in government if the coalition wins. But I think the issue here, Freya, is that because Sussan Ley was appointed deputy leader, the coalition decided after the last election, when, you know, the so-called women issue was such a big factor in the election outcome, so they decided they needed a woman as deputy, there weren't too many options in the lower house to choose from. There are more in the Senate. And so that's the issue. So Sussan Ley probably has less experience in foreign affairs, but my understanding is she's pushing hard for it.
I think what's important is that we, or the coalition, selects somebody who is absolutely fearless and totally ruthless. This probably is the portfolio, foreign affairs and immigration, where Labor has bungled the most spectacularly, and our standing on the world stage has declined. We're seen as this weak middle power that is increasingly irrelevant, and that is catastrophic for our national security at a time when we have an aggressive China, we have global instability, and we have a resurgent United States that is going to be looking to Australia to see whether we actually are a strong and reliable partner. So I think whoever it is needs to be tough and needs to be strong and ready to really hold Penny Wong, the most incompetent foreign affairs minister, to account.
100%, and I agree with you there.